What is the feature-length podcast? Anyone?
The feature-length podcast is a show where three idiots talk about film and entertainment.
Good answer.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, are you talking to us?
Yeah. I'm talking to the voices in my head.
Like, I truly don't know. It felt like a fever dream. I swear to God, I could not
It sounds so stupid hearing that.
If you're listening to this is a podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast, a podcast where we talk about movies and TV for a feature length of time.
There was once a young man named Bo Burnham who was one of the earliest viral creators on YouTube. Bo was from an era now commonly referred to as old YouTube. The platform had not yet grown into the monolith that it has since become. In these days, creators participated in sharing their talent and casting out their nets for whoever would discover their content. It would seem the platform's primary function was to act as a collaborative showcase for countless aspiring artists to publish their passion projects, which varied in type, genre, and intent. Personally, I also get the sense that YouTube was supposed to be a stepping stone for these artists to one day move forward and transform their hobbies into jobs elsewhere. In the current era of YouTube, it is not uncommon for YouTube to be a job in and of itself if a creator shows persistence, determination, and relatability. But Bo Burnham was one of those few content creators on the platform to break free from the social media cocoon and evolve into a skilled, bona fide member of the entertainment industry. Bo is arguably the ideal figure in YouTube lore to study when searching for one's endgame on the platform. He has become an exceptional performer with refined talent. Since his days as a content creator on the internet, Bo has established himself as a successful singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, stand-up comedian, actor, screenwriter, and film director, among other things, which is an impressive resume even before considering his humble beginnings. Bo is most well known for his career in comedy, but in 2018, we saw his debut as a writer-director on the Golden Globe-nominated film 8th Grade. He has also acted in multiple projects, the biggest being 2017's dramedy The Big Sick and 2020's drama thriller Promising Young Woman. Dialing back to his start in the stand-up industry, Bo released his first special from his tour Words, Words, Words in 2010, which mostly consisted of a lineup of more refined performances of songs he had published on his YouTube channel. In 2013, he released his next tour special, called What? The special Make Happy was released in 2016, and in 2021, Bo released his latest work, titled Inside. Inside was his first special not to be filmed on tour in front of an audience, and will be written, directed, filmed, and edited by himself entirely. Whether intentionally or not, What, Make Happy, and Inside form a particularly cohesive trilogy of specials, and will be the focus of this episode's discussion. The first sees young adult Bo using his meek upbringing to project himself as a comedic scapegoat who has years of experience being in front of a camera. The second tackles themes pertaining to the dangers of today's prosumer and performance-centric reality. And the third raises questions about the always-on lifestyle, codependency, and one's social battery, also asking if anyone really deserves to share their opinions on anything and everything, he said as the host of a podcast started by three friends who were bored during a pandemic. All three specials consist largely of musical performances and intermittent bits. Bo Burnham's style of stand-up comedy has revolutionized the industry, boasting a level of deliberate, scripted performance not commonly seen in stage comedy. And Inside definitely shows off some of Bo's acquired filmmaking skills from his work in the industry. Witty and purposeful material fills every minute of a Bo Burnham comedy special. This episode of the feature-length podcast marks our first time discussing a series that is neither film nor television, so let's get into it. We're your hosts, Marco, Carolina, and Daniel. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Back for another episode.
Don't sound so excited.
Good to be here. Good to be here. How's everyone doing?
Doing as good as Bo Burnham. Just poor.
Yeah. Yep.
We should also note that Carolina is back in Ottawa,
Yeah.
so we've returned to a Zoom call, which is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. At least Dan and I are in the same room.
Yeah.
Good to be in Ottawa. Sad to not be with you guys, but this is the way the world works, so
Yeah.
She'll be back.
eventually.
Was that a threat? She'll be back. She'll be back for another 6-hour-long episode.
Yeah, maybe it's best that we don't record in person
Yeah.
ever again.
I mean, although we recorded Cats in person, that was one of our shortest episodes ever.
Yeah, it's true. We had like our longest.
Lord
and
of the Rings was
shortest
shorter,
episode.
I think.
Jesus Christ.
Really? See, that's so...
Yeah, it's so
That's
bad.
embarrassing.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
It was shorter than Cats.
I just love it about the 1 hour mark of Cats. And I was like,
How
okay.
long have we been recording?
Yeah,
Can
can we
we
please?
stop?
Like, is there anything else to say?
Okay, anyway.
Yeah,
This
let's talk
week,
about-
Bo
we're talking about
Burnham.
Bo Burnham. Finally, I've been excited for this one.
Yeah, should we talk about our histories with?
Yeah,
Bo?
so let me just quickly mention, because I didn't in the intro. I guess Marco is technically the newcomer in this scenario because he's seen Inside previously, but this is your first time seeing the other two.
Correct. Yeah.
So why don't we start with you?
Okay.
What are your general thoughts?
Both of you guys have seen all the specials?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Here are my general thoughts, guys. First of all, I think Inside is still the best one out of all three, which probably
Duh.
is not saying
Yeah.
much. Obviously, Inside
I agree, for the record.
it was a huge deal when it happened, took the world by storm, even more so than his other specials, and I just think it also is like the most interesting and also like the best use of his talent, I feel like, which I will come back to in a second. So, what's the second special? The one from 2016?
Make Happy.
Make Happy. I think Make Happy is really solid. I think it's like the best you could do in terms of like a live performance of something of the style of Inside. And so I guess I can talk about that now, which is I always have trouble sometimes in terms of like when a performer traditionally does one thing and then tries to do another. So for example, there's lots of YouTubers I watch that do like very produced and edited content, and then when they try to do live content, I'm always kind of like, this is weird and I don't like this. And then on the other end of that, there are people who only do live content, and when they do more edited content, I'm like, this isn't what I'm here for. Personally, I think Bo's best work is the more like produced, edited content, and he does manage to infuse a lot of that into his live shows anyway, which we'll talk about some of the jokes that play on the tropes of stand-up comedy, which are my favorite parts of those shows. But yeah, I think it like Make Happy is kind of as close to Inside as you could get for a live show, but I just don't love the format of a live show for his style of comedy in general. But that's not saying it's bad. I think this is the one that's going to be controversial, was very hard for me to get through.
Really?
And I don't know if it's a combination of, and not to shit on him because he's obviously very talented, but maybe just, it came out in 2013, which at this point is already almost like 10 years ago. And also he was younger at the time. He was like 22, pretty fresh off of like YouTube stuff. I just feel like his style didn't translate as well there as it does then 3 years later with Make Happy. I feel like Make Happy is really refined and tight, and like he figured out how he can play with the tropes and make it all work. But yeah, what was like really hard for me to watch as someone who's never seen it before and like had no connection to Bo. Just like going back and watching it, I was like I didn't really like laugh that much. Like there were like some funny parts, but like Make Happy and Inside have like genuine laugh out loud moments, and I was just kind of like, huh, nice, good joke, Bo.
Interesting.
So that was my take.
I'm liking this. Like this, that was a super fresh take. Because honestly, I have a lot of friends who say that one's like one of their favorites by him.
That's fascinating to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts?
Carol, do you want to go next?
Okay. Yeah. I guess we're doing experience and a bit of general
Sure,
thought. So I have watched all three specials before. I had watched What and Make Happy before Inside, because I went through a period of time in which I discovered like stand-up comedy, which like sounds dumb because it's everywhere.
Put a pin in that. I would love to come back to that for another reason.
Okay. So at one point in my life, I discovered the thing that is stand-up comedy. So I picked a few, choice comedians whose names I had heard before and watched whatever specials they had on Netflix. Not gonna lie, under the influence of a drug. So I was just like,
that drug is comedy.
Yes, of course, yeah. So I watched them, and also like you, Marco, I don't remember like really having strong thoughts about either of them, because also in my discovery of stand-up comedy, I watched like Ali Wong and John Mulaney and like Working It Out with Mike Birbiglia. Sorry, that's the name of his podcast. I couldn't remember his name for some reason until I said his podcast name. But yeah, so I was watching like specials by them, and no offense, like I liked all of those better. Like in terms of stand-up comedians, I think they're all better than Bo Burnham. Not gonna lie. Bo Burnham, I think, is we'll get to it. I'm obsessed with him. He's like an artist and is so amazing and so prolific and talented in so many other ways. I just don't think it's stand-up comedy. Hot take at the beginning. But yeah, so I watched the specials a long time ago. Didn't really like stand out to me. They were like fine. I think it's like one of those things where if I watched them when it came out, I might have liked it more because like, you know, it was 10 years ago and like he was young and like the time in comedy was kind of those dumb like penis jokes.
Yeah,
so like maybe then I would have laughed more, but like because I watched them, I don't know, like less than 5 years ago, maybe like 2 or 3, I like it was a little bit too, I guess, like grade school jokey to me for both of them, although I definitely do agree that like you could see his growth even between What and Make Happy. Like that was very clear, like obviously just like aging and like going with the times as the world works. But yeah, so then I watched Inside. Always is. But so then I watched Inside, not because like I watched his old specials, but simply because like one of my really good friends like posted about it on her Instagram and was like, this was really good and made me feel a lot of feelings. And like, you know me, I love to feel a lot of feelings. So I was like, I will give it a shot. And like the idea of a special filmed all inside during the pandemic intrigued me. Like I knew that like, you know, this kind of art was coming at some point. Like we're all waiting for all of like the books and novels and movies like about this last fucking year and a half, but whatever. So I watched it and I felt very seen. It was very emotional for me. I thought about it every minute of every day for probably the next month. I watched it again less than a week later. As soon as the songs came out on Spotify, I listened to them on repeat and annoyed the shit out of all my friends. I became obsessed with Bo Burnham as a human. I was like watching interviews of his. Oh, also, I wanted to watch Inside because I also had just seen him in Promising Young Woman, which shouldn't have made me want to watch something by him.
Right.
But, you know, I still respected him as an actor, and then I was like, I'm interested. And I watched 8th Grade and loved it, so, you know, I knew he has talent. So, yeah, I watched it and loved it. And so, obviously, I was super down to watch it again for this because I'm obsessed. And, like, I rewatched the other 2 specials and kind of felt the same. But I did chuckle a bit more because I didn't watch them under the influence of anything, so I was able to, like, pay attention, I guess, more. And so, like, I understood and appreciated, like, the similar themes he carried through. But, yeah, that's my experience and thoughts.
So, I discovered him in 2016 when Make Happy came out. I guess that's technically not true, because, like, he had a Vine presence that I didn't mention either.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
He was pretty well known on Vine, because he was, like, you know, he's a social media guy.
Yeah.
So, I guess, technically, that was like my first experience of seeing like his quote unquote material, like his Vine work. But then he was also on Vine promoting his special What, which I hadn't seen until Make Happy came out, and then I retroactively went back and watched them in order. And then this year when he announced Inside was coming out, I got super excited because that was completely unexpected.
Yeah.
So generally, I agree with both of you in that What is my least favorite for sure. And for a time after Inside came out, because we should definitely note Inside is obviously the most different.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a comedy special that like obviously it's not in front of an audience. It's like extremely edited, but it is still like we call it a comedy special.
Yeah.
But for a time after Inside came out, I think Make Happy was still my favorite because I had that in mind of like just not really like better but different. And Make Happy for me was such like, considering it was a live performance, it was such a feat, I think, in my mind. But now I agree also that like Inside is generally my favorite work of his like comedy stuff. But I also like I definitely agree with what you said about Make Happy pretty much being like a more put together version of his previous comedy stuff. And I haven't seen Words, by the way. Yeah. It's not it's streaming somewhere, I can't remember, but it's not on Netflix like the rest of his specials are. And like I said in the intro, it's mostly just like him performing his YouTube stuff, which I wasn't really interested in because like you were saying with What, that felt very YouTube.
Yeah.
And for the record, I do think it's like, I still think it's pretty funny and I like that stuff, but I don't know if I would be interested in, for example, Words, the special, because like if What is already kind of on that fringe, Words is going back even further.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't really have any interest in like checking that stuff out, and I have like skimmed through his YouTube channel just for fun because like it's fun to see where he came from and stuff, and it's all the songs that you'd see in there are like still on his YouTube channel. So but yeah, generally like we said, I think even in the last episode when we were announcing this episode, these specials make a nice like trilogy in the sense that you can really see his growth as like a character, I guess, even though he's a real person, but his onstage persona is definitely a character.
Yeah,
like
he said
a caricature.
So. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And I also love, this is just like a minor thing, but it's cool to see going from like special to special how the venue gets bigger, which like directly...
Well, then smaller.
Sorry. So the first one is very small. Make Happy is like quite a big venue stage, and then inside it's like obviously it's the complete opposite thing. But I like, my point is that the venue changes according to his like attitude towards like the performance centric things that he's retaliating against in his act.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, it's not really, you can't call that intentional because his venue just grew as his popularity grew, but it mirrors it quite nicely, I think. So
yeah, I think this stuff for me, like we're talking about, that I think works best in like his later stuff, and what I think I bumped on a little bit in What is just that What, like you said, still has a little bit of, this is what I do on YouTube, but I'm kind of doing it on stage. And it's like more elevated for sure. It's not just that, like there isn't an added layer. But Make Happy is where there's really that thing of like, oh, I get what regular stand-up comedy is, and I'm like intentionally fucking with that in some parts. Like I'm even thinking about like my favorite joke is the continuity error joke.
Oh, I knew you would like that.
when he talks about a continuity error, and then the next cut he just doesn't have a sweater on anymore, which is like, and then he is like that the rest of the show. Like it never jumps back, which I just think, again, like that's the type of stuff that I really respond to about his work. I
always wonder in the live performance what his excuse for taking off the sweater was.
Me too.
Oh, I read that apparently he just told the audience, like, this isn't for you, don't worry about it.
That's hilarious.
Like the continuity joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, I'm going to say this joke, like, ignore it. Like, it's fine. Like, it isn't
That's
for
cool.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that also makes me wonder, because even in What, there's a similar joke where he's like, I have a joke about video editors.
Yes.
Video editors are
He
so
said the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is my favorite joke from all of What. And that is the one that when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's like the Bo Burnham that I respond to. Because that one, really made me laugh. It cuts away. That one's a really good one. But like we talked about, we should also just mention too, like, however funny he is, and he is funny, he's also very good at like writing musically entertaining to listen to and also funny songs. And I should say, I generally hate... Okay, so Carol, I said we're putting a pin in this and we'll come back to it, but I, like you, just one day discovered stand-up comedy.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what it was. It was like, I think I was probably in high school, and like over the Christmas holidays in high school, for some reason on like cable TV, they would just have like constant comedy specials. I don't know why. Or on like New Year's Eve, there would be like a marathon of comedy specials. So,
really? That's random.
So like that's how I kind of discovered it. And then like I found my people from there, like you said, like John Mulaney. I also like John Mulaney.
Problematic right now, but
well, he's not, like, for God's sakes, man, he divorced his wife and is now dating Olivia Munn. Like, I don't know, like, people need to relax.
The timeline might have overlapped a bit there is the issue.
People gotta relax. People have too much time on their hands.
This is the first I'm hearing of that.
And he also explicitly said he never wanted children and now is having a baby with Olivia Munn. Like, but the second he divorced his wife.
You know what? That, people change their minds. But neither here nor there. We'll see what happens. But like,
this isn't the John Mulaney podcast.
It's
also not the Bo Burnham podcast. This just one episode.
True.
I could do a Bo Burnham podcast. Just talking about Inside though.
Well, I mean, it's the one with the most analyzed. But like, having discovered stand-up comedy much in the same way, and then like falling in love with like certain performers and kind of what the form generally is, and then people mess with that. It's entertaining to see Bo like take that and then do his own thing with it, as opposed to I think what his earlier stuff was, which is sort of trying to like fit his stuff into stand-up comedy, but like kind of fuck with it. But I think like his later stuff really is just like, I don't fucking care, and I'm just gonna like make this work for whatever my sense of humor is, which is good. And yeah, and the point I was driving at was, I generally, when watching a comedy special or something, if someone like shows up with like a musical instrument, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like it's never funny. Like it's never funny to me. I'm always like, this is so lame. But like Bo is really good at that. Like he's the only one that genuinely makes me laugh, like using music in comedy specials. For me,
I mean, just speaking for myself, you said like typically when a stand-up comedian brings out an instrument, you get disappointed.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's like the complete opposite.
No.
Like when Bo goes to like the piano,
yes,
I get excited.
Exactly. When Bo does it, it's like the most hype moment.
No, I completely agree. When like just a normal like stand-up
just
guy,
shitty stand-up.
Because sometimes they'll do it for like one song ever, and you can tell that they like learned to play the guitar just for this one bit type thing, and like it's very obvious that Bo like is a musician and like is talented and like understands like music theory and how to like write a good song, and like obviously even that improves over time and like with age, and like that's like obviously the redeeming quality. Probably like if there wasn't music in it in his earlier two specials, I don't know if I would have watched them, just cause like I don't think it is my humor, but also I am a musical theater nerd, so like he still got me with like the piano. But I think if that wasn't there, I genuinely probably wouldn't have liked what. Maybe Make Happy like a little bit, but I can't imagine like watching either of them if there wasn't music, or like liking Bo Burnham at all.
I still think the best parts of Make Happy are the music part. I mean, outside of the sweater, which is hilarious, but like everything else, I still think the best parts are the music parts. Like the country music song, which is just like,
that's my favorite one from that special.
It's one of the most brilliant just like bits, because it's so, and like you said, pointing like him actually understanding music, like it really does like feel like an actual modern stupid country music song. Like it's so good the way he makes fun of that.
Yeah. And I also think, just while we're talking about the music, I definitely think it improves special to special.
Yeah.
Not only the music, but also like his singing.
Yeah.
Like in Inside, it's like the best it's ever been.
I mean, I think he also like probably got really good at like editing and auto-tune as well. Like he has a great voice.
Oh yeah.
But like he also definitely,
and he does employ that.
Yeah.
He employs effects a lot too. Like purposefully, like there's a reason. But generally his acapella is like pretty good too. Like especially once we get to Inside.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely weakest in What.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it comes through, but I mean, I also agree with you that like I think my favorite part of each special is the musical stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think why Inside is my favorite, because we should also mention it's the longest.
Yeah.
But I think it has the greatest percentage of music. Like the album of just the songs is like almost an hour in and of itself, which is the length of the other two specials. Like they're each an hour long. And by the way, I'm with you, Carol.
Yeah.
I've listened to the album so many times.
I genuinely think it's going to be in like my top 5 on Spotify at the end of the year.
Oh, it's definitely going to be in mine. It's kind of embarrassing. But
I don't think so. You guys are like, I listened to it a bunch too, and also like it was everywhere on the, like it was, I could not
TikTok.
open TikTok without hearing like 10 Bo Burnham songs.
See, but I thought that would make me hate it over time, and I didn't.
No,
so
just makes
kudos
it
to
better.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so good. I mean, there's so many good music, and then like I mean, there are like certain clips and stuff that are still circulating from his old specials too. Like if you like smoking weed, say hell yeah. Like that's still over to, which by the way is fucking hilarious. You want to talk about just like hilarious moments? Yeah, that was such a funny opening.
What's your favorite? Okay, so I have a point about bringing up at like towards the end what your favorite song/bit from each special is.
I knew you would ask, so I went back and wrote it down.
Yeah. But just for right now, like if you guys had to pick a favorite opening, because he's like pretty good with openings. From the 3 specials, which one do you think opens the best?
So, maybe controversially, but I think Make Happy has the best opening. Not that
watching Arrested Development with the clown makeup.
Oh, are you talking about that opening, or are you talking about like him on stage
first,
opening?
Song. Yeah.
I mean, it could be like a mixture of just how it starts in general. Like it could be that plus the following song, whatever you want to think about it. But.
Well, for me, when I think about like the first song, I think Make Happy. I think that song is just fucking hilarious. Literally just the if you like smoking weed, say hell yeah part, like that just kills me every time. But yeah, I love that whole opening. I think it really, like, especially coming after having watched What and being like, oh no, what if I don't like these specials? And then when I watched it, I was like, no, this is funny. Like this, I was like, okay, this is way closer.
Inside before watching What and Make Happy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So like, but that was
my
thing.
You liked that.
I knew I liked that, but that was my whole thing about like, maybe he just doesn't translate to live performance as well as like edited stuff, because I was like, I really love that, but maybe I'm just not going to vibe with his live stuff. But that first song in What Happy really kind of put me at ease, and I was like,
What Happy?
What Happy?
And Make?
Yeah, What Happy and Make. That song put me at ease, that I was like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. So I think that's probably my favorite opening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, all of my favorite stuff is going to be from Inside, but I do have to note that I was super impressed with the beginning of What, because it is all like voiceover, and so like the choreography that has to go with that on his end is very impressive. And like, even though obviously it wasn't my favorite special, that was still pretty cool to watch. And I also did like the call and response song. But yeah, my first note from Inside, and actually, fun fact, I did the reverse this time. I watched What and Make Happy sober, and then I watched Inside high, because I had never done that before. So I have like quadruple the notes are Inside. But the first note I made was, this is perfect. So I'm gonna have to give it to Inside with specifically the song like content. The second he like looks up at the disco ball and the lights start shining, and then when he says, Daddy made you some content, open wide, I'm all in. It's over for me.
That is fucking hilarious. Now that I think about it.
Actually, when they were announcing awards at the Emmys, they showed a clip, because he was nominated for a bunch of stuff, they showed a clip from content, and they cut it off right before Daddy made you some content, open wide, and I screamed. I was watching with Rachel. I was like, are you kidding me? But yeah, so that one wins. I know.
Fair.
Okay, well, I have to agree. I think Inside is my favorite, but with a stipulation that I'm including content and the following song comedy, because I cannot get that song out of my head. No. I think that is my favorite opening of his, where he's talking about like, am I a hero for being a comedian? Like, fuck
Which
no,
he touches on in, I think, Make Happy, or the one before. But like, it's interesting that he talks about almost the exact same stuff in all three, and then just kind of seems to elaborate each time. Yeah, definitely
consistent themes.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite not singing moment from each?
In What, my favorite non-song bit would probably be, oh fuck, you know what? I don't know if I can go first.
I can go first.
You have an answer? Yeah. Okay, why don't you go first?
Well, we already talked. So in What, it's the video editor one.
Oh yeah.
In Make Happy, I think it's probably the continuity error one. That's what's coming to mind right now. I'm trying to think if there's maybe anything else in there that also made me laugh really hard. But I know for sure in Inside, it's the, can anyone just shut the fuck up about anything for like 10 seconds or whatever. That one, like, I genuinely had to pause because I was laughing so hard when I saw that the first time. I was like,
okay, I have answers, so I can go next.
Okay.
In What, although like it kind of got musical, but I really liked when he knocked the water over, like, very simple, and then he's like, I did that on purpose, I got you. That got me. That was actually very funny. And then he like did it again later on. I don't remember with what. I think like the music started on accident
the
or
track,
something. Yeah, so that genuinely very funny. And in Make Happy, I had something, but I lost it. I'll get back to it. But in Inside, I think, no, actually I only had an answer for What. I need to look through my notes for the other two.
Okay, well, I'll say my What one while you're looking, because I think I decided. In What, I think my favorite non-musical bit is when he's telling the frog story, and he's describing the characters, and he gets to Roger. He's like, and then there was Roger, who was arrested for possession of tadpole porn. And then that comes back later when they see a beautiful frog, and Roger's like, bit old for my taste, classic Roger. That always gets me. The classic Roger part.
I mean, even in Make Happy, like, when he walks out on stage and there's a guy singing or sitting on the stool and everyone assumes it's him, and then like he walks out on stage and the other guy just walks out and it wasn't him, like, that alone is like a little hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
it's a funny
there's
thing.
No reason for that, but he's just like, yeah, it'll be funny, they'll think it's me, and then it won't be.
I know my Make Happy one.
Okay.
It's really like minor, but it's when he's like critiquing like normal stand-up comedians, and he's like, you want a realistic stand-up comedian, go see the rest of them. This thing actually happened. Cool. And it's just like a super smug, I don't know, it's just like a really minor thing, but I love his like facial expression.
Yeah.
Oh, another honorable mention while you're thinking, Carol, is when he's like, we just played in Alabama. They just like the lights. I don't need to make jokes.
Dude, that was
Motherfuckers got moving candles.
That killed me.
Yeah.
And then immediately after, he's like, actually, they were very nice. You guys are just elitist.
You're elitist pricks.
Oh, you know what another great one is? At one point in that special, in Make Happy, he like turns to talk to like a steam pipe or something.
I was thinking about that one too.
He's like, what do you think? And it just goes, tsh, that one.
And then the other one goes off. It's like, stay out of it.
It was so ridiculous, but I loved it.
Okay, I think my favorite one for Inside is when he's, what do you call it? He's like the brand consultant.
Oh my god.
And he's talking about companies being progressive.
Yeah.
And he's like, how are you going to stand up to racism, wheat thins? And then he's like, the point we're trying to make is that JP Morgan is against racism in theory.
Oh my god.
Okay, I think some of my non-song favorite bits are, I think also in comedy, he has all the whiteboards behind him. And so sometimes there's like equations that's like this and this equals comedy. And then at one point he has like a flow chart or like bubbles, whatever those charts are called, in the background with all of his examples of comedy. So if you pause those and read them, there's some fun tidbits in there. Also, this is when he's doing the video game reaction to the Inside game.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
It's presented by SSRI Interactive, which is a serotonin uptake inhibitor or something like that. It's Ranmon, fun fact. So it's an anti-anxiety med, which is also hilarious because he also suffers from panic attacks. What's up? Okay, and then also, this isn't my favorite, but I have a question because I never understood this part. He's doing the YouTube apology at one point with the knife. What's that about? Other than making you feel so uncomfortable.
It wasn't an apology though. It was like him
thanking for watching,
his audience for watching.
Yeah, but I don't know what that was about.
I think it was just a critique of like untalented YouTubers who for some reason have huge audiences and just like have like an immense amount of power over their viewers just because they like idolize them. I think that's what he was getting at.
I can't believe I forgot, but I love his send up, of modern YouTube, and like you said, Carol, like the reaction video where then he just starts like reacting to the
him reacting
video, to
yes,
him reacting.
That's one of my favorites too.
That too.
Holy shit, that like
that was a good
so good.
Speaking of my SSRI, that's my alarm to take it. Please hold.
Okay. I think I'm gonna have to change my answer actually to the reaction.
The
video
reaction
over
to the reaction to the
reaction. Yeah,
it's so good.
Because when I was watching, I rewatched last night all three, and I was like,
it has a song in it, but
yeah. I mean, that's true. But last night when I was watching, I was genuinely thinking of how he must have had to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, he must have had to record a scratch version of the whole thing for the timing.
Yeah.
And then watch that, like, on a screen in front of him the whole time just to know when to start reacting to the next layer. So that's crazy. Very impressive.
It's wild, but it comes across so well. I also love, I can't remember, I think there is a song involved. So just to point out, I watched...
It's the Unpaid Intern.
It's like a mini song. It's like an interlude.
Yeah. I watched What and Make Happy like yesterday, but I haven't rewatched Inside for this. Okay. So the last time I watched Inside was whenever I talked about it. You guys after watching it, but that whole thing with the sock puppet, I forget if there's a song attached to that.
That is a song.
Okay. I just remember dying at whatever that was. I don't remember, but the abuse he gave the sock puppet or whatever. Yeah, that was really funny to me.
That was how the world works.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like a kid's show, but then it goes like dark.
Yes,
that's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, that's really good. Inside's good, man. It's so good.
Yeah,
it's so
definitely the best one.
Yeah.
Do we all agree here that it was the best one? Right?
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Okay.
But I also think I think he does a really good job of like having his finger on the pulse of like stuff that's really funny at the time. Like I feel like I think Carol, you said it, but if I had watched What in 2013, I probably would have had a much stronger reaction to it.
Yeah,
and I feel like someone 10 years from now watching Inside might be like, yeah, it was funny, but they might not have the same level of reaction that we're having to it right now because it is like so relevant, obviously right now. And there's like stuff in it that I think will last better over time than stuff in his other specials. But
Yeah.
I don't think it'll have like the same like the Jeffrey Bezos song. Like, come on, like that is so 2020 and 2021.
You
like,
did it.
yeah, like in 10, 15 years, people are gonna be like, what the fuck? Like,
Who's Jeff Bezos?
yeah, what
'Cause
is
he's in
Yeah,
space, like, some people don't even
hopefully
know.
we'll be able to say who is Jeffrey Bezos.
Exactly. Yeah, hopefully he's not our overlord by then. But yeah,
Yeah, what are you talking about? Everyone's gonna know his name because he's gonna be like
Yeah.
the dictator of the
What?
entire world.
yeah.
But also on that point, I think like even watching it back now, like what he did even in 2013 was impressive and like so ahead of his time. The way like he even critiqued and like we talked about it, like we touched on it, like every special, and the reason it works so cohesively is because they touch on the same points of like, this is all a persona, this is all fake, like I don't know why you think this is funny, like and it kind of gets darker and darker with each one too, with him being like, this is hurting me, like I can't do this anymore, I'm having panic attacks, I fear you, I hate you, and like everyone like does get darker, and like the mental toll becomes more and more apparent, like at least in the character that he lets us see, and so that's kind of like, this sounds kind of dark, but it's like fun, or I guess interesting to watch that progression in like the 3-year gaps between, you know, What and Make Happy, and then the longer gap between Inside, because he really took the time off to work on himself. Good job, Robert. But yeah.
And
so
real quick on that note, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Because you mentioned the 5-year gap. I just now noticed, or I guess last night noticed, in What, at the beginning, in the intro part, he's like, the narrator's like, Bo has isolated himself for 5 years to dedicate himself to the craft of comedy.
Really?
Yeah. So that's just like a super coincidental like flash forward. And then also, what do you guys think of Make Happy ending in that room?
Yeah.
And then like that
He had no
being
idea
such a
that would have
seamless
happened.
transition.
Yeah.
5 years later.
Oh, that's
Also just
interesting.
coincidentally.
Kind of want to watch the ending of that into Inside now.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
I
you didn't
didn't watch it like that.
It's
That's
really cool,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of Make Happy, he walks out, and then first thing he does is Inside is walk back in.
Yeah.
And stays in.
And stays in.
To your point, Carol, I kind of like that. Like a lot of comedians, okay, not a lot. Pretty much every comedian it's a heightened character of himself, like on stage. But I think the ones that like stand the test of time are the ones that can evolve that character over time. So I think of someone that
And like give hints of like honesty and feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think of someone that's very much doing a character of themselves, but that has been doing the character of themselves forever, as like Jerry Seinfeld. Like Jerry Seinfeld has been doing the Jerry Seinfeld character.
There's no development there.
No, like he's just he literally does some of the same bits now in like his modern stand-up that he did like on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously he's funny, but then the counterpoint to that is Larry David, obviously involved in Seinfeld and obviously like plays the character of himself as like this like old curmudgeon man or whatever. But even in watching something like Curb Your Enthusiasm, like is constantly involving what that character means in the modern day. So it's not just like the same old shit. Like it always changes in a way so that way it feels relevant. And like I feel like that's what you really have to do to not just be doing the same bits that you've been doing for 20 years. You know what I mean? You like have to evolve that character of yourself. Otherwise it just gets stale.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I was also going to say, like, I think the reason that for Bo, the growth seems so apparent is because he started, like, so early and became popular so early that, like, he literally is basically going from, like, child to adult. But I guess, like, so did Seinfeld, so, like, that excuse doesn't work. I mean, maybe not as young, but, like, still pretty young. He doesn't have an excuse.
Yeah. I mean, he did the B movie. Was that growth?
Yes. That was a great movie.
Yeah.
That's an awesome movie. What do you mean?
I mean, I like it as like a meme movie.
Guys, are we adding it to the podcast?
No, it's a work of art. We need to discuss this.
Okay, we'll watch it on the podcast then. That's fine. That's fine with me. Can I ask you guys, since we're talking about comedy right now, and like, I want to ask you guys, like, who are your favorite comedians? Like, stand-up comedians. Not like, I mean, whatever. You can do top 3, top 5, whatever. No particular order. But just, like, who are your, like, go-to stand-up comedians? Just so, like, everyone gets a sense of, like, what type of stuff we're into.
I kind of already named mine when I listed, like, who I watched, unfortunately. John Mulaney, classic. Mike Birbiglia.
But Carol, he's evil now, remember?
He's still funny.
Yeah.
He did like an interview on Seth Meyers or something, and he literally
hilarious.
talked about like him going to rehab and his intervention and him being a piece of shit, and it was still funny.
He's very funny. Yeah.
So I can still like think what he says is funny and like not think he's a great human being at times, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, and then Mike Birbiglia and Ali Wong probably, but also Hannah Gadsby, because I think especially Mike Birbiglia and Hannah Gadsby, and like the reason I like Bo Inside so much is because I like comedy that has a lot of like heart and feeling and emotion behind it. Like I obviously appreciate things that are just like haha the whole time, love to laugh, but I do like things that can make me laugh and cry, which like sounds weird, but like if a comedy special makes me cry, I'll like it more than any other comedy special. That is a guarantee. So that's why I like those. But who is surprised by that? You know me. I love to cry.
It's true.
Hey, I mean, you're getting double the emotions, right? If it's funny and sad, you're getting double the worth.
And also, I find that it's like,
Yeah.
it's almost harder to make a comedy special make you cry, like, because people go into it being like, I need to make people laugh. So to have, like, because it's also usually, like, a story they're telling throughout the hour that, like, the culmination of it is what brings out the emotion. And I find that to be such, like, a rare talent that I, like, really appreciate.
Are we... Okay, so obviously Bo Burnham is, like, one of my favorites, but, like, I don't know if that counts because we've been talking about
It
him.
does.
Or not that it doesn't count, but, like, because we've been talking about him for, like, 50 minutes already. He's one of my favorites for sure. But then, like, ironically, I think my other favorites are, like, the complete opposite of him.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
Even though, like I said in the intro, and I've kind of been, like, saying all along, is, like, I definitely prefer his style of, like, how planned his stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, ironically, some of the other ones I like are just the more menial stand-up comedians, like Jim Gaffigan I like a lot.
He's really funny.
Bill Burr is really funny.
Yeah.
I also like, I've watched some of Sebastian Maniscalco's stuff.
Dan, you were just naming my list at this point.
I've never seen Sebastian.
He's really good.
He's
Okay.
good. Those are my top ones. Just trying to think if I guess Jerry Seinfeld, because like I love Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Like I've never really watched a lot of his actual stand-up stuff besides what's in the show, but like he is just Jerry Seinfeld.
It's
so
a lot of what's
basically-
in the show.
So I guess that might as well be one of my answers
Yeah.
too,
That's fair enough.
and I'll leave it at that.
I would say I'm also with you on Sebastian Maniscalco. Like, he has a very, like, particular style.
I haven't watched a lot of him, but I liked what I saw.
So, like, I would recommend for anyone, watch his most recent special. I feel like some of his older specials are a little... Like, he's very in his own style, but it's not super, I think, accessible. Like, I think he really leans into the whole Italian-American thing, which, like, is fine for me, because, like, I get literally every reference he's saying.
Yeah.
But to other people, it might be like, okay, whatever. But I think his most recent stuff is, like, it has some of that, but it's also just broad enough that, like, anyone can find something interesting, and I think it's really, like, fine-tuned. And it's on Netflix. I would recommend it. I might even watch it tonight. It's really good.
Good to know.
What's the most recent one? Because that might be the one that I've seen.
He's in, like, a blue bomber jacket.
Yes, that's the one that is.
Okay, yeah, that one's really good. I
It is
really
funny,
love
yeah.
that special.
Add it to
So
the
I like,
list.
yeah, it's great. I forget what it's called.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
but the one
I-
on Netflix.
Yeah, he's wearing a blue jacket.
Okay.
You'll be able to find it. I
Love
like him. I like John Mulaney, as we discussed. I think John Mulaney is just like an expert,
Yeah.
old school like joke teller of just
100%.
like telling a story and then having a joke. Like he's
Yeah.
really good at it. Bill Burr, you mentioned, Dan. Something that I really like about Bill Burr is that he'll bring up a topic and like start down the path where you're like, why would you do this? You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
sets you up to think it's gonna be problematic, but then he takes like a twist on it where you're like, oh, that's actually really funny.
It's funny because like he's picking fun at an aspect of it that you weren't expecting him to.
Yes, like he starts as if he's gonna be like, oh, feminism's dumb, but then he like finds a
He
way
finds
to
like a super little like
Yeah.
funny thing to like comment.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
not about anti-feminism. It's just
Exactly.
an act. But yeah, like disclaimer, Bill Burr, some of his stuff, especially his older stuff, is a bit like edgier.
yeah.
But it's not like, I wouldn't call him an edgelord. It's an act, and it's like generally his stuff, like it's more like his attitude is really funny
Yes.
towards things.
And
Just because
also-
he's so annoyed by everything.
Yeah, and you can also tell that he's not like actually a shitty person.
No.
Like he's very much is just like, and he's I mentioned like the Conan podcast on here before.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
talked about it, but he's been on the podcast a couple times, and both times he's brought up how he's like, I just like to piss everyone off.
Yeah.
Like I just like to literally annoy everyone, and that's like what my fan base is just annoying people. So yeah, I really respect that of him. Someone I'm gonna recommend, I don't know if you guys have seen, is Anthony Jesselnik.
I've heard of him.
I've also heard
Never
of him
seen
and
him.
haven't seen
Okay.
him.
He does basically just one-liners, but his one-liners are always the most dark punchline you could think of. Like, it's so fucked up, but like it's hilarious. Like, his newest special is called Fire in the Maternity Ward.
Oh gosh.
And like it is like he'll start like a joke, and it's just you're going, and then the punchline to the one-liner is just horrific.
Oh,
and like that's
Jesus.
his whole thing. But he is so good at it. And also like I highly recommend following him on Twitter because he is just he just is fucking incredible. Just like how he goes after people and has like no
Oh my
remorse for
God.
anything. He's just so good at being like the evil bad guy. But similarly, if you ever watch him in interviews and stuff, he's just like the nicest, most chill guy. And he's like, yeah, everyone's always surprised that I'm like really just calm and normal in real life, but he's like evil in his special.
That's
but
why I
he's funny.
love listening to like stand-up comedians give interviews, or like now even
Yes.
some have podcasts. That fascinates me. I always
Yeah.
think like I would love to be a stand-up comedian, but like obviously I couldn't. I'm not that funny. But like I'm so fascinated by the people who do it, and especially because like it's such a weird job. Like you have to just be up all night and like have people heckle you and like say the same jokes 100 times. Like it's such a unique career to pursue. And then like to see them outside of just telling the same jokes 100 times in a row, it's like, what do you actually have to say? Let's hear you like say a sentence that you haven't rehearsed 100 times.
Yeah, for sure. But I appreciate too, since we're just talking about comedians, like there are so many comedians who maybe have had a stand-up presence or whatever, but like I know them more as just like being funny, whether it be in interviews
Yeah.
or on TV. Like I think of like, for example, like Martin Short and Steve Martin,
Oh,
who like I know
love
do
them.
like
I love them so
I know they
much.
do stand-up and stuff, but to me they're just like a funny duo that like
Yeah.
you just see places in interviews and they're fucking
Because they're best
hysterical.
friends.
I know, it's so funny.
Actually, you know who that is for me, and it's kind of timely, is Norm Macdonald.
Oh,
R.I.P.
yeah.
by the way.
Yes.
I've never seen any of his actual content, but just seeing the interviews that he's been in, he was just a genuinely funny person.
Yeah, unreal. He's another one like that. He's great, and I would put Larry David in that category too.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like just to find a quick story, but maybe we'll talk about Curb one day. I don't know, but like
Yeah, we should.
Larry David, famously as a young person, was like doing stand up, but like the audience hated him. Like no one got
Oh,
his
I can see
stand-up.
that.
But like all the comedians thought he was hilarious, and they were all like, "This guy is gonna be huge." But the audience hated him, and apparently there's like this famous story that there was one show where Larry David like went on stage, grabbed the mic, like looked at the crowd, and was just like, "No, I'm not. I'm not doing it." And then he just left. Which yeah, he's great.
You know what my favorite Larry David story is? I might have mentioned this to you, Marco, before, but it's so in the first season of Seinfeld, the character George is partly based on Larry David, and between takes, George was having a conversation with Larry, or what's his name in real life? Jason Alexander was having a conversation with him. And he's
Yeah.
like, "Look, Larry, I've read the script and I'm not really sure, like, this would never happen to anyone, and even if it did, they would never react in this way." And Larry just stared at him and said, "What are you talking about? This happened to me last week, and this is exactly how I reacted." That's my favorite moment of Larry David's ever. And that's just, that's
my
not him as a
God.
character, that's just
Yeah,
him
this
being.
is him. He's so unbelievably funny, and is just like his demeanor as a person.
Yeah. And that's
Oh,
when
man.
someone's like when they're just funny by existing,
Yeah.
that's when they're like prime funny. Like that's
Yeah.
just a funny person.
Well, I would actually say, to bring it back to our topic, like Bo Burnham is like pretty just naturally funny, like
Yeah.
existing from what I've seen in interviews.
Just
which
by
is,
the energy he really
exactly, and I think that's why the stuff of his that like I think that's why I respond to Inside so much compared to some other stuff is because like the stuff like the further he gets from like traditional stand up comedy is I think where he really like finds his niche of just being able to be funny and not have to necessarily react off an audience. Although again, he finds ways to do that to make it work for him. But that's where I think he's going to be remembered for, is like stuff like Inside, stuff that's more just being able to be funny in a weird way and not go the like John Mulaney route of, you know, set up punchline joke telling or whatever.
I thought you were gonna say not go the John Mulaney road of
divorcing his wife
and also changing his mind about having children.
Yeah.
Getting addicted to cocaine.
Yeah.
Is John Mulaney addicted to cocaine?
Yeah, he went to rehab twice in the last year.
Oh.
Yeah.
John
He's out
Mulaney's-
now.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's someone who I've always heard like nothing but good things about his comedy, but I've never gotten around to checking him out.
He's
All
one of the
three of
ones
his
who
specials.
make me laugh out loud. Like I can watch them
Yeah.
over and over. They're actually really good.
They're all on Netflix, and I've watched all of them multiple times
Ditto.
and still laugh out loud. So I
Yeah.
would recommend. Yeah.
Judging from what I've like seen from like him in interviews and stuff, and also to tie this back to YouTube,
Yes.
there's a YouTuber named Drew Gooden. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
I've heard of Drew Gooden.
I'm
yes.
not.
He reminds me. That's all I want to say is he reminds me a lot of John Mulaney. Like, and even like a lot of his fan base they basically always comment like you're the YouTube equivalent of John Mulaney. So
Interesting. Maybe I'll check him out then.
he's funny. But going back to Bo Burnham now, I just want to ask you guys.
Yeah.
The general message across all of this trilogy of specials is like performing has taken over this generation, but it's clearly like, and when I say performing, as he puts it, just having like a social media presence that you feel the need to project on anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
And that's obviously been like a very unhealthy thing, just to put it plainly. What are your guys' thoughts on like that cohesive message? Because it is pretty much like each special talks in some way about that theme.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Do you disagree? And also, what do you think of just how it's like presented across all three specials?
Yeah, I think, agree. Obviously,
Yeah.
It sucks that everything is about performing now. Both like personally, everyone feels the need to perform, but then also even in regards to a lot of like activism now, it's like it is a lot of like performing, and not in the sense of like I get it. Like if you can't actually affect change, like it's fine, go ahead, like speak up. Like I'm not saying don't say your piece or whatever, but it's just like, there's like a lot of people that are just like terrible people that don't give a shit that like try to get a pass just by the performance aspect of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does this do for anyone? So that element of it sucks, and I think is definitely true. I really appreciate though how he like always manages to touch on it in a different way that like relates to situations that are modern in each one of his specials. Even though it's like a similar theme, he kind of like carries it through and is able to get that theme across in ways that are representative of the time and not necessarily just sounding like, not that he's old, but the stereotype of like an old man rallying against the internet. You know what I mean? Like he really has like, it does a good job of like showing like, hey, this is fucked up. This is fucked up. Like, do you guys think this is normal or cool? This is fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think what helps is that it's coming from it's coming from a performer. It's not just an old gray-haired guy who's never had like experience with technology being like, technology sucks.
Yeah.
It's a guy who grew up literally on YouTube.
Yeah.
In front of an audience. So I think that's what makes it genuine when he says it. And, and like causes us to take it more seriously, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that was a point I was gonna make is like, obviously, like I don't know, I hate technology, I hate social media. Obviously I interact with it all day every day and I'm addicted to all of it, but I hate that I am. So obviously all of his messages is like, yes, I agree. But just an interesting point to make is that in every special he says like, nothing I say is honest up here. It's all a performance. It's all an act. Don't take it seriously. This doesn't mean you know me. Like that is like obviously repeated over and over again. And it's interesting that like, I don't know, we talk about like movies and TV and like celebrities and stuff, and I find myself always getting caught up in like being like, I really like this person, I care about this person, obviously knowing that they're celebrities, we don't know anything about them at all really, and like even though we're constantly reminded of that and they always tell us that, like I find myself, I don't know about you guys, like still constantly getting caught up in, oh, I love them, I'm rooting for them. Even in these specials, a second after he says, I'm not honest up here for a second, he tells a joke and I'm like, that's so or he sings a song, I'm like, that's so charming, that's so funny, I love him. And it's like, it's interesting to go from like that back and forth, like that constant reminder and being like, oh yes, that's true, like I need that reminder. And like, I guess, yeah, same with social media. Like I said, I hate it, I know it's all fake, I know it's making my life worse, I'm still on it every second of the day. And so that's kind of like, I guess, a mimic in what he's telling us in these specials and what I'm feeling. And just, yeah, that's also why I love him. He just reminds me to, step back. This is all fake.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, like, 100% that also goes for just any actor in general. It's like you have to remove them from the role that they're playing, because not only is it just a role, they didn't even write that role. They were hired to portray that role written by someone else. So if anything, technically, if there's someone on the crew of the thing you're watching to like idolize, it would be the writer. Because they're the one who's had all the like inspirational ideas. But it's of course the actors that we connect with the most because they're the person that we see on screen. It's natural.
Well, you know what's interesting? This is not off topic, but kind of. Is I was thinking about the other day. So I was thinking about like how people choose to deal with like celebrities that we now know are pieces of shit. And I hesitate to say like canceled celebrities because let's not get into a debate about cancel culture and what that means. I don't give a shit. But people that are known to be pieces of shit and now like don't really work anymore. And I was thinking about this and I was thinking like it's kind of fascinating how I am now avoiding watching stuff that has Kevin Spacey in it. Because it just kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. So for example, like I never watched Baby Driver before he was a piece of shit, now I probably will never watch Baby Driver. And also like Ansel Elgort apparently might also be a piece of shit.
Oh really?
So,
that's why they haven't really been promoting West Side Story as much.
So but then the thing that I find really interesting is that like Harvey Weinstein, obviously the king of all pieces of shit, the number one piece of shit. But like I don't have any problem watching a Weinstein-produced movie.
Lord of the Rings. Because, first of all, he's produced, like, everything in the last 20 years. You can't escape it, really.
Well, and also it's like, okay, so am I never going to watch another Quentin Tarantino. Fucking weirdo. But, like, come on. Pulp Fiction? We all here love Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is a great movie. Even though he shows up and starts saying the N-word in Pulp Fiction, we're all still like, yeah, but, like, he's not in it for most of it. You know what I mean? So it's just, it is that weird thing of, just, like, whatever you see on the screen being really deterring. But even with Kevin Spacey, so one of my favorite discoveries is a movie called Moon, starring Sam Rockwell. You've seen it. Carol, I don't know if you've seen it. We should watch it one time. It's really, really good. It's like this indie film made by these like Irish filmmakers that have now gone on to become... it's Duncan Jones. He went on to become like a more prominent director, but this was like his first movie. It was an indie movie starring Sam Rockwell. Super good.
When did it come out?
Like 2013, I think. The only other person in it is Kevin Spacey, but he just does a voice for like a computer. So like that for me was like, yeah, I can watch this and not care because it's like it's just a disembodied voice. Like that doesn't, but for some reason it's literally like Call Me by Your Name. Like if I had to watch that now, I'd be like, oh, fucking the Cannibal's here. Great, Armie Hammer the Cannibal is on screen.
He's in that movie.
He's the co-lead.
Well, even that in general is problematic because he's like 25 having sex with like a 17-year-old or something.
I don't... When this movie was first coming out, I was like, yeah, that's all great. Gay love. We love it. But like, they are like 30 years apart in age. Like, what is this? Like, what's happening in this movie? But like, whatever. It's a solid movie. But like, yeah, I don't know. Weird.
Well, even
just
like
weird.
Talking about Bo Burnham in his first two specials, like he says faggot a bunch of times. He says the N-word.
Yeah,
like,
we should talk about that.
Yeah. And then obviously he addresses it in his own way and inside with the song Problematic, which like...
Love that one.
Yeah, and like the imagery in it and also just like, I mean... I've stated I'm in love with him. Sweaty Bo.
Yeah, Sweaty Bo.
I love, a close-up of a belly button, one close-up of a nipple for some reason. And so, like, once again, talking about cancel culture, like, people who have said similar stuff, obviously, like, the examples we gave with, like, Weinstein and Spacey, like, that's a whole other level of
course,
things that we're canceling them for.
Yes.
But... yeah, so there have been people who were canceled and, like, shit on so much harder for, like, saying the same kind of jokes that Bo made in the first two specials. And, yeah, as he pointed out in Problematic, like, people haven't, like, really come at him for that. But, like, he's saying now, obviously, 10 years later, he realizes, like, that's not okay, et cetera, et cetera. Although, fun fact in my research, he got hired at one point to perform at a college. I don't remember which one, sorry. But people protested him before he came because he like said the N-word and faggot and stuff, and so people were like, we don't want him to perform because he says this shit. So people like obviously did realize that was wrong back then and like gave him shit for it. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but just like is that an acceptable enough apology? Like, why, for some reason, has he not been canceled? And he makes, like, one song addressing it and we're cool with it, and other people, like, we're not so cool with it. Like, I'm in the same boat, though. Like, I don't know how to feel about, like, canceled people and their work. because like obviously I don't want to like make it seem like anything that they've like said or done in the past is okay, but like I don't know, we're all people, like we all make mistakes and learn with the times. Like I mean, obviously in some cases some things I think are unforgivable for some of the more egregious offenses. Yeah
Cannibalism.
Yeah, stuff like that, like they should be canceled forever.
You know, stuff like cannibalism.
Everyone's favorite.
But yeah, I don't know. Like saying faggot, like obviously I'm not a gay man. I can't be like, I forgive him. But like, and like I still feel weird like when I watched those two specials. When he said it, I like cringed visibly and I was like, ooh, that's on Netflix forever. Like, ugh. And I don't know how to feel about it.
I think it's a similar situation to throwing back to our Superbad episode.
Yeah. Obviously,
like intent is a big thing to consider. And I do feel he's definitely, like he says in the song, problematic. He's obviously grown as a person since then.
Yeah.
And he was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, not a kid, but like he was, you know, a young adult. And it was also like, not that it makes it a right thing to do, but it was a bit, like it was a comedic thing. So like going back to the idea of intent, like it was like for the sake of comedy, which again, people have been canceled for similar things.
Yeah.
And the first thing I think of is like the James Gunn thing, and how that was sort of another, like he was canceled for a bit, but then we kind of went back on that decision.
I was thinking of Kevin Hart
because it was dumb.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart. Yeah. That too.
What was his thing?
It was a tweet, like he was supposed to host the Oscars, and like he's the reason that there's no host of the Oscars anymore.
What did he do?
It was something about like not wanting his son to be gay, but like, oh, if my son was gay type it was just like a joke like that basically, and everyone was like, you should not host the Oscars. And then he quit. The Oscars were like, the Oscars literally told him like, just make some dumb apology and then you can host, and he was like, no, I'm just gonna not host then, fuck that. But like to you guys' point, I do think so. Someone that I think rides this line a lot is Ricky Gervais, who I do think is funny. Like I think he's really funny, but in one of his specials, he kind of talks about being a comedian and understanding like the target of a joke. So like, and I think this is what Dan and I were talking about with Bill Burr. Like Bill Burr can do a joke. I was just gonna say Bill Burr. He can do a joke about feminism, but the target of the joke isn't feminists. Like if he does a joke about feminism, a lot of times the target of the joke is shitty males that are like idiots and don't get it. Yeah. And I think with Bo Burnham stuff, I think part of the reason why none of us are necessarily like rushing to be like he's a terrible person is because even in context of him using the word faggot in the show, in his performances, like the target of it is never like maliciously attacking gay people. Do you know what I mean? Like that's never the intention.
Him, because like
it's him. Like,
he grew up being called a faggot. And like,
exactly. So it's like, I think that's why, and sure, and there is the discussion to be had that like, okay, well in the modern day, like regardless, you shouldn't be saying that, which fine and whatever. So I think that though is why we all kind of understand like, Bo doesn't deserve to be canceled. And then also, I think he has also publicly said in interviews and stuff as well, like, I was young when I started, I'm still figuring stuff out. And so he's clearly shown like remorse and support for this type of stuff and is not, because that's the other thing too, is when someone gets called out and they're like, well, fuck you. Why, how come what I did is wrong? And you're like, okay, well then you don't get it. Like you're a bad person, but
that's why I'm saying
done that.
He definitely has grown. And also, like I mentioned in my intro, is like, especially in what he definitely projects himself as like a scapegoat for all this sort of stuff. Yeah. Which I think helps a lot with, the faggot thing. Yeah. That bit. But I also wanted to say, I think before Bo Burnham would ever get canceled, I think Bill Burr would probably first get canceled.
Bill Burr is...
Not that I think he should get canceled, but...
He's real close, though. I mean,
before any of the other ones that we've talked about.
I'm so over people getting canceled, like... Yeah. If you committed a crime, go to jail and stop making art. But, like, I don't know why we just need to be like, you're canceled. Like...
Because it makes people feel better. Yeah. Like, going back to, like, performance. Yeah. It's like, I'm doing something good because now this person can't make... Because Johnny Depp can't make Fantastic Beasts movies anymore. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. Who did that help?
Yeah. I think if you can give them a chance to show that they've grown, it's a lot more effective. Yeah. Than just outright canceling them.
And I also think it's straight up true. And this is the other problem. And I'm glad we can have this conversation here in like a real way. Because you can't anywhere else. Because everywhere else, of course, it has to be like either you're pro-cancer culture or... Cancer culture. Either you're pro-cancel culture or you're not.
We are
the entire
not
world.
pro-cancer. For
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
I'm just kidding.
saying that, Dan.
Cancers are okay.
Yes, has reminded me.
horoscope-wise.
Well, my girlfriend is the Cancer, so technically I can be pro-cancer culture if
Sure.
you're talking about
Wow.
being born between June and July
Sure.
or whatever it is.
It's not June and July because that would be Gemini, and that's me.
Okay, so July and August?
Yeah.
Question mark? Okay.
Okay, well, my mind immediately went to the medical conditions.
No, me too.
Me too. But I'm just trying to bring it around so we're not evil. But no, when I was saying either you're like for or against everything now,
Yeah.
it reminded me of that scene from Revenge of the Sith when he's like, "If you're not with me, you're my enemy," and then Obi-Wan says, "Only a Sith deals in absolutes," which in and of itself is an absolute. So
Yeah.
like, fucking whatever.
You can't win.
But my point being, the reason I'm glad we can talk about this here is that, yeah, I think it's all fine and dandy to be like, hey, someone fucked up. Either make amends for it, or if it's criminal, then you should go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, sure. But then there is the other side of it of, so like the actor who plays Shang-Chi, I don't know, have you guys heard about this?
No.
No.
Like
Simu
people
Lee?
went back to like when he was a teenager and found like Reddit posts he made.
God.
Oh.
And now that's resurfaced and people are trying to cancel him. And it's like,
How can you judge someone at that age for the person they are now?
yes, and also like that to me is so not good faith because it's like you like searched through decades of like Reddit
Yeah.
history to find this just to like find one thing to make this guy seem shitty.
Why were you trying so hard?
Yeah, it's like, why were you trying so hard to prove that this person isn't a good person? Like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, everyone's done stupid shit that they regret, but, like, ultimately, it's like, if you are super problematic and causing problems, then, yeah, like, justice should come in some shape or form. But then even... Batman, yes, justice. But even, like, okay, so even with the Johnny Depp situation, like now, not to say that, like, because again now it's like you either have to like be pro Amber Heard or pro Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Realistically, they're clearly both assholes
Yeah.
and like pieces of shit to each other
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
have
I
an
just wanna
extremely
say-
dysfunctional relationship.
I'm not even sure what the current Johnny Depp thing is. I just don't like him. Like, I don't like
He's
his
weird.
attitude.
Yeah, he's a fucking weirdo.
I've never liked Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
Just-
me either. So long story short is basically just like there was like allegations that he abused his wife Amber Heard. But then now there's been like evidence coming out that she is like also abused him and done really abusive things. So basically they just have an extremely dysfunctional, awful relationship that's now super public knowledge. And there's like this whole battle of like whose side are you on? And it's like I'm not
Civil
fucking
War.
anyone's.
Yeah.
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 Like this isn't Civil War, guys. Like these are just two shitty people that are in a shitty relationship.
Yeah.
And
like,
we have to see it because they're celebrities and
Yes.
their whole life is public.
yeah, and you know the idea of people even commenting on it of being like, well, I think this is like, why do you think that? Like you don't know them, you don't know anything about this. Why do you care that he's not Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts? Does anyone care? I love Harry Potter.
Why do you care about those movies?
Yeah, I don't even care about those movies, and I love Harry Potter. So don't tell me you give a shit about Fantastic Beasts 3 and the Secrets of Dumbledore, or whatever
Actually,
the fuck
Marco,
it's called.
J.K. Rowling is canceled, so...
Oh, yes, she's
take it
canceled.
back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's another one though where I'm sort of like, it's so yeah, I can't love Harry Potter, but like it's so fascinating to me that she's canceled because there is like a lot of like trying to be progressive stuff in Harry Potter. Like there's also problematic stuff
Yeah.
like Cho Chang, which is like
Yeah.
maybe the dumbest name for an Asian character of all time. But like there are elements of Harry Potter that are trying to be a little bit progressive. And I don't know. I literally don't even know what she said to get her canceled.
She doesn't
but-
believe like you can be transgender. Like she doesn't
Yeah,
think
she
trans
did
people
say
are
that.
real.
All right. Well, you know what? Fair enough. That's a shitty thing to say.
And that was just like that was in her wave of just pointlessly adding stuff to the books and movies.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
after the fact, which is so unnecessary.
Yeah.
But like now, not only was it unnecessary, it's just like she went too
Destructive.
far. Yeah,
Yeah.
destructive.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. The whole thing was so stupid.
It is. Well, okay, fine. So fair enough. She said some shitty stuff. But so then here's a point I wanted to make earlier that I think is important when it comes to like movies and TV or whatever. Is so like Harry Potter. Yeah. So J.K. Rowling is canceled. She said some stupid shit. Great. So no one wants to support her anymore. I get that. She's not like up with the times. But it's also like, okay, so she had the idea for these books. She wrote these books. Fine. There are like thousands of people that worked on those movies, like cast and crew, like all these people who have come out to be like, hey, that was shitty that she said that and she shouldn't have said that, who by all accounts, like as of right now, Daniel Radcliffe not canceled, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, all those
You're gonna say
people.
Emma
I was
Stone,
gonna say
right?
Emma
Yeah.
Stone and I was like, no, it's Watson. The directors, everyone, like, you know, it's like, so should we not support like these like hours and hours of like thousands of hours that thousands of people put into this art because this one person at the center of it actually maybe is kind of stupid. Like,
I think we've even talked about this before on an episode. It's
really?
A movie is so much more than just one person.
Yeah.
And she didn't even, I mean, she wrote the book. She didn't work on the movie.
No.
She wasn't the screenwriter at that time. So yeah, you can't just dismiss the work of all those thousands of other people that worked on this thing.
Yeah,
just
absolutely
because
not.
one person made a mistake.
Yeah.
But even at the same time, like, I feel like I'm even at a point with this cancel culture thing that I'm afraid to, like, I mean, I don't really have a platform to publicly say anything, but, like, in theory, like, I'm afraid...
You said that on a podcast. We are on a podcast we've been doing for a year, and you said, I don't have a platform.
Who listens to it, guys?
I don't know, like 16 people every week somewhere.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So to my platform, I'm always...
Yeah.
I'm always, like, afraid to, like, even say it about anyone, like, I like this artist, because, like, they could be canceled at any time, even if they aren't now. Like, in a month they could come out and, like, someone could find a tweet, or someone could find out they killed someone. Like, we don't know. Like, we can't keep, like, living in this fear. And at the same time, like, what if, like, your favorite movie of all time was, like, produced by the Weinstein Company, or, like, had Kevin Spacey in it? Like, all of your experience and your memories of, like, watching that film, like, he's a shitty person, he did an awful thing, but, like, you can't just erase that. Like, I think we should still be able to say, like, what these people did or said in the past is wrong. Some of them, like, have shown remorse for the not, like, total crimes ones, and, like, I think we should be able to move past that and still enjoy, like, what they make or have made, because or else, like, honestly, probably 90% of the people in Hollywood are pieces of shit. Like, we can't not
That's
have art. Like, like,
and it sucks.
Do you not want any movies?
Exactly, and, like, as an example, it sucks every time I watch Lord of the Rings seeing Harvey Weinstein's name at the front. It does. But, like, I'm not gonna stop watching Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, there's too much else. Yeah, I mean, and to your point, like, I have thought a lot about, like, what would happen if tomorrow I wake up and, like, Aaron Sorkin got canceled.
Yeah.
Like, how would I react? Like, what would I do? And, like, I think the honest answer is, like, I don't know. I mean, I probably still, like, his movies are still some of my favorite movies and most influential movies for me. What am I going to do? Like, if that happened, like, if it turns out he's a piece of shit, he's a piece of shit, but, like, literally everyone is a piece of shit in some context or another. Some people bigger pieces of shit than others, totally get that. Maybe they shouldn't have a platform to spread their piece of shitness to the world. But, like, you know, like, at the end of the day, it's like, it's tough. And I also think it's tough, like, it's tough to dictate to other people, like, what they should or shouldn't do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough to say, like, if, like, some people may say, like, if someone has done something publicly fucked up, like, I don't fuck with any of their work anymore. Yeah. That's fine. Like, that's your personal choice. But to, like, put that on everyone, to be like, no one can fuck with this person's work anymore is kind of like, okay, well, I don't know if that's realistic. Because, again, to your point, Carol, like, people have, like, emotional attachments, whatever. It's more than just X person was involved, so now this thing is dead to everyone. It's like,
and I think it's good that we're having this discussion on the podcast, because, like, we have in the past, like, talked about movies and shows with, like, quote unquote canceled people involved in some capacity, and we probably will going forward. And just, like, you know, general disclaimer, we don't condone any shitty actions. We can recognize the shitty people, but I don't want to have to, like, have this conversation every time we, like, talk about a movie with, like, maybe a shitty person in it, or, like, a shitty writer or a shitty director. Yeah, so
for sure.
Glad we talked about it, though. Back to Bo.
Well, and that kind of segues into one of the topics that I made a point of, like, wanting to bring up on this episode that also is related to the Bo Burnham discussion a little bit, because so I want to, as I said before in the intro, obviously this whole discussion is taking place on a podcast.
Yes.
And it's a discussion partially about the dangers of, like, always chasing an audience. Mm-hmm. So, not that there's really a right answer to this.
At these 16 people who listen to us are chasing you.
I was just well, you know, audience in our context. But I know what you mean.
Theoretically, yeah. So, and there's not really a wrong answer to this. I just want to get this discussion kind of going. I want to see what you guys think. Do you think the fact that we are doing, like, we're not making money off this podcast by any means?
Absolutely not.
We've lost money, I think.
Probably,
to some degree.
How much was this?
I had to buy a mic,
it was $11.
So we're $11 in the hole.
Yeah.
Hey, I think my mic was like $70.
Oh, wow.
We're like $80.
Oh, yeah, you bought that.
Yeah.
But anyway, like some people do podcasts and get money.
Yeah.
So do you think it's better or worse that we're doing this for free? Like, do you think we're doing this because we wanted to attract an audience, or like do you think it would be better if we were getting monetary value out of it? And again, I'm doing this for fun. I want to see what you guys think about this.
I mean, I'd like if we got monetary value out of it. That would be cool.
Okay, let me clarify. Not would it be better for our wallets, but like would it make it
because
better
it obviously
to have a
would be.
podcast?
No. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. No, I don't think so. I mean, like, I guess it comes, like, why are we doing it? So for me, the whole reason to do this is just because I'm a lazy piece of shit that would just, like, rewatch stuff I've already seen before. But, like, I mean, I know we're kind of doing that, but also, like, just aimlessly rewatch stuff. And also, it's tough sometimes. Like, I would have conversations with you guys, obviously, sporadically. We would just, like, randomly text about movies out of context. So it's nice to have more of almost, like, a book club to, like... We force ourselves. We're a movie book club. We like force ourselves. Be a movie club? Yeah, we're a movie club.
No.
Yeah, we're a movie book club. I like having this more as just a reason to like try to develop my own skills of like talking about movies and TV and like understand stuff more. And it's nice to like not just watch something and process it on my own, but also like get other people's opinions on it, and just to talk to you guys. Obviously, that's fun. I mean, like we've said it before, but we could do this anyway and just not record it and not edit and just save us ourselves a lot of time. But it's just, since we're doing it, might as well. But okay, so here's another question then, now that I'm thinking about this, like, subliminally, is it all just for, like, attention? Because when we were doing the Hot Ones challenge, Dan...
We immediately said...
We should record this.
Why did we say that?
We recorded all of it, and...
What are you going to do with it?
We're in process of editing it and going to post it on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And you got to think, what triggered us to immediately... Well, we know what triggered us to immediately think, let's pull our phones out and record ourselves doing this. It's because we think it might have an audience somewhere.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just kind of how we automatically think of things now.
Yeah.
Like, we could have easily just sat around a table without recording at all and just, like, hung out as friends and did it.
Yeah.
But we were like, it didn't hurt to have the camera running.
No.
So let's see where this goes, right?
Yeah, it's kind of.
And I'm glad we did, for the record.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see it. I'm glad you did it.
You will.
Yeah,
you'll
you'll see it eventually when it comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about.
It's weird, right? Because I do struggle sometimes with, it's like, even with even with recording these and posting them, it's almost like a part of it is the fun aspect of 10 years from now, I could like pull up old shit that we've recorded and listen to it and be like, I wonder what we said about this thing. I wonder how my views have changed. So like there is that, and I think even with recording the Hot Ones, there was an element of it that was like, this will be fun for me. It'll be fun to have this to look back on, like as a memory. But yeah, I think we are also a little bit brainwashed to be like, but content though. Yeah. Maybe it could be content. So
yeah, it is really interesting that you brought this up. Wow, I didn't think we'd get here with this discussion.
I wanted this episode to be more than just about the thing we watched. Like we could easily laugh at the jokes, and I still at the end want to talk about our favorite comedy.
Yeah, I still have jokes I want to definitely highlight.
Back to that. For sure.
But no, to your point, like definitely when we started this, I mean, obviously it was just mid-pandemic, and like, what the fuck else are we gonna do? True. Like. Yeah, I know we wanted to do it because, I mean, I specifically was talking to Marco about how, like, I wanted just, like, a creative outlet. Mm-hmm. And, like, obviously we all love watching movies, and that's something we've always had in common. And so, like, going into it, my mindset was just, like, I'm excited to, learn the skills of, like, audio editing. So, like, that's why the recording was a cool part of it. And then just, like, even personally, like, it's nice to have a reason to, like, catch up with you guys every few weeks because, like, I live far away and don't really talk to people regularly from Windsor, to be honest. And then also, like, a reason to, like, know what movie I'm going to watch for the week because there's so many options. Sometimes it's overwhelming. And so, yeah, there's all of that, like, obviously not platformy posting content stuff. But then at the same time, like, why do I want audio editing experience? Like, why did I want to start a podcast? Why do I maybe want to work in the movie industry? And it's like, because I want to create content. Like, it can't just be like art for art's sake, obviously, because we're like, we could edit the audio even and not post it. So at the same time, it is like, yeah, it's nice to have it for ourselves to listen to in the future. But like, because we are posting it, we like to think that, yeah, maybe someone's listening to it and enjoying it. But at the same time, like, I definitely, like, even on a personal level, like, I obviously listen to podcasts for like 35 hours a week, every week at work.
Yeah.
And so I would love if like every single one of my friends had a podcast. Like I would listen to them, because even like the podcasts I do listen to, I consider all the hosts my friends at this point. But once again, it's the place where I don't actually know them and I need to not do that. But you know what I mean? Like I am intrigued, and like I love listening to my friends talk. And so I would love if they had a podcast. I'm like, if I have one, maybe my friends can listen to it. And I like to practice speaking, because I always get so self-conscious when I have to say anything. And so knowing that everything I'm saying is recorded, I'm like, how do I string together a sentence that makes any sense? So that's been good practice. Have I improved at all in the last year? I don't know. But at least I'm constantly practicing.
I think we've all.
I think so too. I'd like to go back. I haven't listened to Lord of the Rings since we released it. I'd love to listen to it and then listen to like one of our more recent ones.
That'd be so interesting.
What it sounds like.
Yeah.
Funny that you mentioned though, like practicing speaking, Carol, because I had, as you guys know, listeners don't know, but I had an interview today, and like at the end of the interview, I realized I just went into like full just podcast mode of talking, but it was like the interview was like, wow, that was like really great, like I'm really happy with how that went, and I was like, okay, thanks, me too, and then after I was like, was I just doing my podcast thing of like not shutting up and just like?
I think I definitely agree with what both of you said, and I think my answer is kind of a mix of both. Like I like to do this podcast for a couple of reasons. The first one is, regardless of the fact that it's recorded, it gives a nice sort of structure of like every couple of weeks we set a date to do this, and it's nice. It's a nice recreational activity that we have scheduled, you know. Another reason is I think I do it for the sake of me listening back, because I do frequently listen back to a lot of our episodes, just for fun. Like,
well, you guys are our 16 listeners.
No. It's just Dan and I each listening 8 times.
Listening from the UK.
Shit, Dan.
Yeah, and I mean, that might sound self-centered too, that I just want to go back and listen to, I mean, it's you guys too, but also like my own voice. I mean, that's...
You have a great voice. Everyone says it, Dan.
True.
You do. You have a great podcast voice.
Thank you, but I was just going to say, like, I think it's part of all of us to hate listening to our own voice on recording, so it's definitely not that reason.
Yeah.
I can put that aside. I just genuinely like judging the quality of the conversation that we had going back. So, yeah, that's another reason. Is I think it's for me that I like to do this, and also, like, the biggest reason is just the discussion with you guys that we like to have. And like you said, Carol, you live in a different city. This is a great opportunity to do this and, like, have it be a specific like reason to be doing this, like every 2 weeks, like I said, structured, scheduled. But then I also got thinking, like, when you were giving your answer, Carol, you mentioned something along the lines of like feeling the need for an audience for everything we do, and that for some reason got me thinking about how humanity has constantly been like trying to, we've been sending messages out into space hoping that aliens hear them. And this is getting, like, really, like, broad.
Are you hoping that aliens will listen to our podcast?
Okay, this isn't podcast related. It got me thinking, like, even before, like, well before the age of social media, we've always just wanted to be heard as human beings.
Yeah. Well,
by, like, an audience.
Yeah.
So I think, although social media has certainly amplified it, it's just part of, like, who we are as beings, I think.
Yeah.
We just crave company and attention, and it's hardwired into us. So.
Well, and I don't even necessarily think, like, I don't think the need for attention and to be heard, like, to what you're saying, I don't think, like, it comes from social media as much as, like, the reason social media has become so prolific is because that's a thing that everyone has, and social media, like, fed into that.
Yeah.
And so now it's like everyone can have that now very easily. Yeah, it's weird. I will say, though, Carol, you talked about the, like, creativity aspect of why we do what we do, which is definitely a big thing for me as well, because I also found that with life, without, like, having you guys and doing this and, like, being accountable for it or whatever, I would very easily just, like, not do anything creative for, like, 6 months.
Yeah.
Because I would just get busy, and then I would
both
just, like,
work, like, science-y engineering jobs.
Oh
so,
my
like,
God,
we just
and then I would just work and then be exhausted and then just, like, float through my day and not, and so, like, having this as, like, something to do feels nice. It's because it definitely is also nice to, like, and not in like the capitalist way of like you have to work your entire life to make money, but to like to do something for yourself that like feels fulfilling in and of itself, like that it's its own reward to do it, is a nice thing to have. And it's part of the fun I think of listening back on it too, is also people always talk about like make the content you wish you had or whatever. Like a lot of times people say stuff like that, and like there's so many great podcasts. I love listening to podcasts, but part of the reason I love listening to this podcast is because it is the type of content that like I love to listen to, which is just like really rambly and silly and dumb and like I almost choked and died there. Sorry about that. I just choked in my spit. But like it's not like
That's content, baby.
That's content, baby. It could not have come at a better time, by the way, in that diatribe. No, but also just the fact that like we can talk about things seriously and have serious discussions, but not take ourselves seriously.
Are you good?
Yeah, if that makes sense. It's not like we're putting ourselves.
Water if you want.
We're not. No, I'm good. I think I got it out. We're not like taking ourselves seriously as like we're here to tell you the truth. It's like we're going to talk about these serious things, but obviously with an air of like none of us really know anything, and we're just here to like enjoy the conversation. Have it be a creative outlet. So.
Well, I think on that note, let's end this off now with talking about, I think each of our, if you can pick like a musical bit from each special that is your favorite from that special.
Okay.
I have mine written out so I can go.
Okay, well you can start.
Because I anticipated this question. Not the one of non-musical bits, but musical bits I was ready for.
Nice.
This one I think is going to be a bit easier.
Yeah, so from what, my favorite was We Think We Know You, which was like towards the end. Just because, like, as I mentioned, I kind of like the more, like, emotional, real aspects of comedy, and so, like, that, because, like, as I mentioned, what seemed, like, too, like, penis jokey for me, that, like, when he got to that part of it, I was like, oh, shit, okay, he's saying something true now, even though, obviously, I don't like to hear it. And then in Make Happy, my favorite song, as we mentioned before, is Pandarin, the country music parody. Also, he just has a really great like country lilt.
Yeah.
Like it just sounded great. Even like I enjoyed the song.
Well, even before you get to your last one, on Parks and Rec, I don't know if you guys have watched that.
Yes.
I was just gonna say he had it like a cameo in one of the episodes where he played the character that he was making fun
Oh, no
of,
shit, really?
where he was a country singer, Chip McCap or something.
That's funny.
And he's just like the typical fake country guy, and like so with the like super heavy country accent. So anyway, you can get back to it.
Okay. In Inside, I wasn't able to pick, so I have 3 favorites for 3 different reasons.
Okay.
So the song that I think I like to listen to the most, that like is the catchiest for me, is 30. When he turns 30. Also, fun fact, he turned 30 at exactly the middle of the special. So that was fun. But also, like, very sad. But yeah, so that's my favorite song. And then my favorite song for, like, it feels the most real and makes me the most sad is That Funny Feeling, obviously. Recently, Phoebe Bridgers did a cover of it. Very good. And then my favorite, I think, visual, like, song was also mentioned, Problematic. I really liked what he did there, even with like the Jesus imagery of him on the cross for it. Just all of that was perfection for me. I mean, the whole thing was perfection for me, let's be honest. But yeah, those are my favorites.
Do you have your answers?
So I'm gonna be honest, I really can't think of a song from Happy off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
I think I'm just blanking, and probably because that was my least favorite of them anyway.
Do you mean
what?
You mean what? You said Happy.
Oh my god, did I say Happy?
First it was Make, then it was
Jesus
Happy.
Christ, guys. Yes, from...
Do you want me to go first then?
Yes.
Okay, so my favorite one from What is the left brain, right brain skit.
That's a good one,
I just think that one's so genius.
Yeah.
And like particularly because of the performance of it, how the lighting changes with each side, and it's just really well written. For Make Happy, it's definitely the Kanye West style rant at the end.
About the Pringles?
It's like about the Pringles, among other things. And it's kind of, it ends the show, the stage portion, and then like not including that little recorded bit at the end. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that track is my favorite from that one. And then I'm gonna go your route, Carol, for Inside, and name 3 for different reasons.
Hell yeah.
That's a really good idea. So my favorite in terms of just listening to it, like as a song, is Comedy. The the second intro song, I guess I'll call it. My favorite in terms of performance, like visually, is 30, because it's all one take and it's like a really good performance with all the lighting and the pedals and stuff. And then my favorite in terms of substance and like emotion is All Eyes on Me, I think it's called. Which is
it made me cry
end.
when I watched it high this time.
That one's
Have
it's
that
really
in
good.
your notes.
And yeah, I think that one's like one of his best, one of his most hard-hitting tracks across all three specials, I think. So those are my answers.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the left brain, right brain one too, because as soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that one, like, I really dig. I think that one's really fun and funny. Okay, from the second one, okay, the Kanye West rant is like a very close second for me, because it's just so fucking funny, and also like when he stops talking about Pringles and then he starts talking about how he wishes he has a kid, so that way she could grab the Pringles, and then he's like, yup, like I brought it back, we're still talking about Pringles. Like, that was so unexpected, it made me laugh really hard. But I think it is pandering for me, because I mean, it's just like one of the best like parodies of like, not just like a parody in and of itself, but then also just like the comedy of like what he's saying. It's just so funny, and it's so perfect. Like, I've never seen, like, that's like Weird Al levels of just like parody, but it's not even parodying a specific song. It's just parodying like every song in that genre. It's awesome.
Well, he does that again with pop music in another song, and apparently Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez were at that show, and he found out later and felt bad.
That's sad.
Sorry to cut you off, just sprinkling in fun facts.
So from Inside, you guys have already talked about all the real deep and good songs. So I'm gonna be honest, and it's not the best, but just because it's so silly and stupid, it's the Jeffrey Bezos song, because like
those are also catchy.
I Bezos. It just like, it kills me. I don't know why. But it's just conceptually, just what it is so funny to me. Just like a song about Jeffrey. Like, why would you, like, I get it obviously in context of everything, but it's just like, if you pitch that to me, if you're like, yeah, there's gonna be like this comedy special and there's gonna be multiple songs about Jeffrey Bezos, I would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But like, just an execution, and they're also really catchy. And every time, like, when I would scroll through TikTok and they would come up, I would just watch the TikTok, because I was like, I like hearing this audio. It's funny.
I also love how in the second one, near the end, he's inexplicably wearing that like
Moss camo
sniper
set?
camouflage thing for absolutely no reason.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. He
Probably
just got
ordered it
bored
off
and ordered
Amazon.
it on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's so good. It's so funny.
Fun fact, Bezos, I think 2, I don't remember which one, is the only song from Inside that my friends let me add to our summer, like, shared Spotify playlist.
Nice.
That one, though, of all,
I know,
like,
I don't know
they
why.
won't let you add any
Probably
because
because it was like a minute long. So they're like, fine, we'll indulge you with the shortest song on the record.
Yeah, I mean, I was like on job sites this summer, just like singing those songs, the Jeffrey Bezos songs in my head. Like, I could not get them out of my head. I was like, what the fuck is this crack that is these songs?
Okay, because I have a lot of notes for Inside, and I mean, obviously, I love Inside, and I could gush about it for hours and hours and hours. I just have a few key points that I want to bring up. During comedy, he's typing on a calculator, and he just writes 42069 over and over again. Hilarious. So funny. Love that. FaceTime with my mom, also a bop, very relatable, and like, even just like the simplicity of in the frame, like when he's doing like even the iPhone song or the Instagram song to change the ratio, you know.
Yeah, I love that.
You couldn't do that in a stand-up on a stage.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also speaking of the aspect ratio, another honorable mention is White Woman's Instagram.
Yeah, that's a
that
great
one
one.
slaps.
It's so good.
That's actually maybe my least favorite song, but I think that is because like
seriously,
I don't, but like because they're all so good.
Oh, okay, just like
it's hard.
lowest.
They're all
One
like
of them
10
has
out
to
of
be
10s.
lowest.
One
Yeah.
has to be a 9.5. You know?
I get it.
Yeah.
And another honorable mention during sexting. One of the lyrics is A T and T, and just that alone is so fucking funny.
Yeah, and also in sexting, have you guys paused to see that giant brick of text and actually read through it? It's good.
And also,
another thing you can't do in a live performance.
And also just when he says whenever he takes a picture of his dick, what does he say it looks like? It's something really
the baby
bizarre.
from Eraserhead.
Yeah.
The baby from Eraserhead.
Yeah, okay, and then, this is, like, a sad thing, but, after 30, when he says, like, I'll kill myself in another 10 years, and then he's, like, watching it back, like, end of pandemic with, like, long hair, long beard, and, like, watching it reflected on his white shirt, and just, like, staring off into the distance. Oof, that hurt so hard. And also, for some reason, now that is the picture on his Spotify, like, as his, like, I don't know, header? I don't know what they're called on Spotify. But I think
his banner.
I think that's a weird choice. But, that was, I feel like, a really ouch part of the special. And also something couldn't do on stage. I really think he's just a great, like, writer, director, because, like, we've mentioned 8th grade, and, like, that was great. So I'm excited to see what he does in the future.
Yeah, like, that's another thing you can't do on stage. But also, speaking of the stage, going back to Make Happy, I think that was also a jab at his joke in that one, where he's like,
yeah, the kill
don't
yourself
kill
song,
yourself after the song Kill Yourself.
Yeah.
So not only does it, like, it's, like, problematic where he's trying to, like, prove that he's grown, but also show a huge passage of time in the pandemic. And I love that cut to, like, his not older self, but, like, his future self with the longer beard, to show that it has been that long since he started making this special, which clearly was not his intent. So
and then just honorable mention to Welcome to the Internet. That song is, like, my high notes say this song is like a 3-act play, so gotta appreciate that one. Also, I just love the glasses he's wearing in it, so stylish. And another honorable mention to there's the one song, I don't remember what it's called, it's really short, and he just, like, is like, yeah, my mental health is quickly approaching an all-time low, and then they say, tell me about it, and he just goes into that short little, like, 10-second ditty. That is also hilarious. And those are all of the things I wanted to emphasize. Yeah, it's called ATL.
For all time low. Yeah. Not Atlanta.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so those are the things I wanted to highlight. And that's
funny, because there's a song, well, depending on, actually this will come out after, but there's a song called All Time High that's a James Bond theme song. So it's funny that one is All Time Low. And you can hear all about that in last week's bonus episode,
I think so.
The James Bond franchise with Angela.
Oh wait, no, actually I have one more fun fact. Sorry guys, but you guys will appreciate this because it is a throwback to one of our old episodes. And your favorite song from one of the specials. In Left Brain, Right Brain, when the computer is saying, like welcome, like patient, his patient number is 24602. One past 24601. Jean Valjean.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah, that's it.
I never noticed that before.
Well, the internet told me it, and I believe them. So now I'll notice if I ever watch it again.
Why is Les Mis one of our highest viewed episodes?
Everyone loves Les Mis. That's why.
Yeah, but it's like, we've talked about such, like, huge blockbuster movies, and, like, Les Mis is one of our top episodes. It's so
theater kids come out in droves, Marco, just you wait till Cats drops.
Oh my god, I know. We're gonna have, like, 10 million views on Cats.
I guess it did drop? Did it drop? I don't remember.
Yeah, by the time they hear this,
yeah. All right. I'm gonna pull the plug.
We should end this. I like how all our episodes don't have endings anymore. We just kind of ramble for an extra 20 minutes.
We put so much effort into the beginning, but we just have no clue what we're doing for the ending. We still haven't figured that out.
Our battery's drained.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you for tuning in, as always. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. This was fun.
It was good.
I really appreciate that we were able to sort of extend it outward from just the thing that we're looking at during the episode.
Yeah. Got into some philosophy, got into cancel culture.
And cancer culture.
Cancer culture.
You should get that checked out, by the way.
Yep.
Marco almost died.
I almost died. It was a real good episode. Lots happened.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.